Good morning and welcome to the Utopian Cafe for Wednesday, September 15th. Let's get you some scores right away from last night from the East. As you can see, the Mets just continue to hang on with another win against the Orioles. Another win against the Orioles. That was game one, but another win. So here's your East scores. We have a lot to get to today. We'll get you around the horn, if you will, as far as scores from all over the Utopian Baseball universe for Tuesday night. We've got 15 of the 16 games today are night games. We have one late afternoon start. That's going to be Colorado at Seattle. Everything else is tonight. As we take you to the North games here. We're going to get to a top five here momentarily. You guys can see what that is. And I'd love to hear what your top five favorite baseball movies of all time are. Well, we'll get to mine here shortly. Tonight at 10:30 Central, we're going to bring you our Xbox game for Wednesday night. That's going to be the Blue Jays at the Red Sox. Red Sox beat the Blue Jays last night, so they're only separated by 2 games. So if the Sox were to sweep this series, they would be even with 9 games left. Let's take you to the South scores on the bottom. Last night on ESPN Tuesday Night Baseball, the Rays beat the Rangers, and the Bulls were losers, and the Braves were winners. So the Braves are actually in first place now in the South, and you can see behind me the standings have been updated. So right now the division leaders in the universe are the Blue Jays, 2 games ahead of the Red Sox, the Reds and Giants, and now the Braves with less than 2 weeks left in the season. The Braves are the 1-game lead right now over Durham. As we get you some scores from last night in the West. So again, tonight, 10:30, Blue Jays, Red Sox, and then tomorrow at 6 Central, we've got Game 3 of Orioles and Mets. That's going to be a really good one, and Mike Cuellar versus Jacob deGrom. Tonight in that series, 2 Hall of Famers, Jim Palmer versus Tom Seaver. So very much looking forward to presenting that. That's our final Board Ninjas Woodworking Game of the Year. Will be that game. You're going to see that at 6 o'clock tomorrow. Joined in progress. Tim St. Clair and myself simulating that game for you. So without further ado, let's get to today's top 5. You can see, again, a man who hasn't slept well in like 3 days. Got the hat on today, got the crazy bed head. I have to be at the store in like an hour, getting a delivery truck today. I'm probably going to pass out when I get home. But today's top 5 is top 5 favorite baseball movies. Now again, favorite, the key word here. By no means am I saying these are the 5 best ever. I'm not even qualified to make a top 5 best ever because I haven't seen a lot of them. And to this day, and people are surprised when they hear this, I still haven't seen The Sandlot. I actually follow one of the characters on TikTok. And I don't even know why I do that, but I've never seen The Sandlot, so you're not going to see that on my list today. But let's get right to the top 5. I didn't even prepare honorable mentions because these are pretty much the 5 I come back to. I'll even go as far as to say which movies would never make my top 5 because there are some really bad baseball movies out there. The third Bad News Bear movie where they go to Japan is probably the worst movie of all time. There's probably 4 to 5 minutes of actual baseball discussion. I mean, it's just awful. It's just an awful movie. Mr. 3000 was really not that great. I know it was filmed here in Milwaukee. I was actually there um, the night they filmed his 2999th hit, which was a homer. I should have given a spoiler alert there, but I was at that taping that night. I had fun because it was just fun to be a part of it. But when I eventually did see it, I wasn't a big fan of that movie. Um, Trying to think of some baseball movies I just didn't enjoy. I mean, those two I think come to mind. But let's get to my top five. My fifth favorite, all-time favorite baseball movie is actually Bad News Bears in Breaking Training. This was the second of the three Bad News Bears original movies in the late '70s. First one is great. First one actually would probably make my top six. It'd probably be number six. It's not in my top five. But Bad News Bears in Breaking Training is my fifth favorite. This movie was on HBO a lot when I was a kid. There were like 3 or 4 movies that were pretty much on HBO. It seemed like every day in like 1984, 85, 86. Bad News Bears Breaking Training, the Police Academies you could see all the time. Midnight Madness, which is a cult classic. You have to see it. It's not a baseball movie, but you have to see Midnight Madness if you can. WrestleMania 2 was on in 1986. It was on HBO every single day, it seemed like, for 2 months. But I love the second one. This is the one where they go to Houston. This one, they couldn't get William or they couldn't get Walter Matthau for this one, so they got William Devane from Knots Landing. I don't even know if at the time this movie came out, if Knots Landing was even a show. I think Knots Landing debuted in '79, and then I think this movie was '77 or ish. But I love this movie. It's terrible. I mean, please don't get me wrong. It's not a great movie. It's not even a good movie, but I love it just because maybe it reminds me of childhood. This is the one that featured Jimmy Bayo as Carmen Randanzi. I don't know. I always say that name wrong. He tried to emulate Catfish Hunter and Louis Tiant on the mound. William Devane actually played Kelly Leak's dad, and they butted heads. The movie culminates with a game in Houston between the Toros and the Bears. Bob Watson is in it. Cesar Cedeno's in it. It's terrible, and I love it. Number 4 for me is Major League. Now, Major League, also not a great movie by any means, but it means something to me, and I'm going to tell you why. And I've told this story on the show before. They filmed this in 1988 in Milwaukee. My mom and I had planned on going on I think it was a Sunday afternoon to be a part of this. We were going to be sitting in the bleachers. To this date, I'm not even sure which scene we were supposed to be a part of. I know it was, we were going to be going at like 8 in the morning. So it must have been, a day game scene. But when we woke up that morning, it was like 104 degrees out. And my mom, instead of saying like, I don't want to do this today, she gave me the choice. And it was very calculated because I think she gave me a choice that she knew I would take over going to Major League. She said, do you still want to go to the Major League filming today and, basically sit in 100-degree weather for 4 hours? Or do you want to go to Brown Deer Park and have me throw batting practice for you for about 15 minutes? And I will always take that, especially as an 11-year-old, 12-year-old kid. So we did that. We went to Brown Deer Park. My mom threw batting practice. I had a bucket of balls. I probably only hit for about 5 or 10 minutes because it really was hot out. But that is actually my favorite memory of my mom growing up. It was just, you know, my own dad only saw one of my Little League games, my very last game, which was actually my best game I ever played. I think I wanted to show him what he had missed. But that's my favorite memory of my mom. And the movie itself is fun. It's entertaining. Bob Uecker plays Harry Doyle. Again, it was filmed in Milwaukee. The reason they chose Milwaukee was they felt the stadium, resembled Cleveland. I guess they had some issues with actually doing it in Cleveland. Remember, County Stadium used to have a green wall, and they changed it for the movie to blue, and it stayed blue until the end of County Stadium. I believe they kept it after that. Again, my memory's a little bit foggy, but I know it did go from green to blue, and again, I think they kept it. But Charlie Sheen, Corbin Burnson, the guy that does Prudential commercials, can't think of his name right now, Dennis Haysbert, Tom Berenger. It's again, it's fun. It's probably, of the 5 movies, this 5 and 4 are 2 that I would say are not great movies, but that I enjoy. The other 3 I think are great movies. So let's get to my number 3. My number 3 is Field of Dreams. A lot of people, this is a very polarizing movie. People either love this or they think it's too schmaltzy. And why can't it be both? It is schmaltzy, but it's Field of Dreams. It's fiction. It's based on W.P. Kinsella's book, Shoeless Joe. It's fantasy. I don't even really consider this a baseball movie. It's a fantasy. It's about Ray hearing voices, and he builds a baseball field. He thinks it's for Shoeless Joe Jackson. He finds out at the end it's for his father, and they play catch. Actually, my talk show, which is debuting December 7th, is called Having a Catch. There's a lot of discussion that I hear about that term, having a catch. People say, oh, it's play catch. It's actually, and I've researched this is a mostly like an East Coast phrase, having a catch. But I heard it, and I swear to this, I don't know where I heard it, but I heard it before the movie, and that's why I've used that phrase even as a child. And it could be that my family's origins are East Coast. My grandfather grew up in Brooklyn. Now, my grandfather passed when I was 15 months old, so I didn't hear it from him, but maybe I heard it from, a cousin, an uncle. I don't know, but I say having a catch. I've also said play catch because neither one of them are wrong. But I love this movie. I watch it probably once a year. I read the book, not on a regular basis, but I've read the book probably 3 or 4 times. It just tugs at the heartstrings. The field that they build in the movie is just immaculate. And the game that MLB did a couple weeks ago, about a month ago or whatever, was just so entertaining between the Yankees and White Sox. We actually, in the Utopian baseball universe, had a Field of Dreams game last year. We had the Yankees and White Sox a year before MLB did. Of course, they were supposed to have theirs last year. It got canceled because of COVID. But we did it, and we're doing it again next week. Brewers at White Sox is this year's Field of Dreams game. The presentation for that's going to be a lot different. There's going to be no music. You're not going to hear anything from the Xbox. It's going to be completely dead. I'm going to give very limited play-by-play. We're just going to let, as Keith Hernandez would say, we're going to let the game breathe. One thing I've actually found out recently, and I've noticed I'm not even talking about the movie right now. I think we covered it. But MLB The Show, which is another Xbox, I think it's an Xbox game, but it's like $90. You can actually play on the Field of Dreams field. So I'm thinking about that for 2022, is going from RBI Baseball to MLB, because this particular version of the game is very glitchy, and it would be fun to do a game on Field of Dreams next year. So that's my number 3. My number 2, staying within the Kevin Costner realm, is Bull Durham. I so enjoy this movie. I love minor league baseball. I love the fact that the emphasis on a lot of this movie is baseball. I know it's metaphors sometimes, but I love how they capture like that small town baseball feel. Uh, I love this movie so much that I actually took the Durham Bulls and made them a Utopian Baseball Universe team within the universe. The 32 teams, we brought back Montreal, and Durham is 32. I had some other considerations for Team 32, a fictional team from my number 1 movie, which we'll get to in a second, the St. Louis Browns. I thought about even bringing back a Brooklyn team, and just, I wasn't going to call them the Dodgers, but maybe the Brooklyn Cyclones, and just have a team in Brooklyn. But I decided on Bull Durham, Durham Bulls, just because I think of my top 2 movies, this is the one that people are most familiar with and I think would connect with the most. But my number 1 all-time favorite baseball movie is Long Gone. Now, Long Gone wasn't even in theaters. It was a made-for HBO movie. I want to say it came out in 1987. I actually learned about 6 months ago from Tim St. Clair from this group that this is based on a book. I'm not even sure the name of the author. I've never read it, but I'm going to look for it at some point. But Long Gone is a movie based on minor league baseball in the 50s. It's actually set in Florida. I think there's some games in Alabama. But the main team is the Tampico Stogies. And that was the team I was considering for the 32nd team. But I figured not many people have seen this movie. And I think people would question as to what that is. But it's my favorite baseball movie of all time. I found a bootleg copy of it on eBay about 10 years ago. It still works, but if you don't have a copy of it and you're interested in watching this movie, there is a version of it on YouTube that I'm going to post tonight. I'm not going to do it this morning because I get ready for work here shortly, but there is a version of Long Gone on YouTube that you can watch. And maybe someday we watch that together as a group. I gotta create some off-season content. So there's my top 5. I'd love to hear yours. Again, tonight, I gotta find my banner here. Tonight, late tonight, we're thinking about 10:30 or so, between 10 and 10:30, Blue Jays and Red Sox. And then we got 2 aces on the bump for that one. Marcus Stroman versus Smokey Joe Wood. And then tomorrow night, 6 o'clock Central, Orioles and Mets, Board Ninjas Woodworking. Tim St. Clair and I going to simulate Game 3 of that series. Again, Game 2 is tonight, Seaver versus Palmer. We got Cuellar and DeGrom tomorrow. And then tomorrow's cafe will be at the same time, 8 a.m. And then 7:30 on Friday with Stan Phillips. So everyone have a great day, and we will see you tonight for Blue Jays Red Sox.